What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of KozMatt's Wrestling Recap. Let's get right into a very interesting episode of Friday Night SmackDown. What did you think of the show,
So
Matt?
you said interesting. I'll cut you off right there. You said interesting. You usually say entertaining. There's a reason why you said interesting, and I totally get that. But let's get into it, right? Um, I think that was a good choice of words. I don't know why you're smiling. I thought this show was absolute dog shit. No, I'm kidding. It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't
It
horrible,
was a
not too
good
bad.
show. It's not like it didn't hype me up for Money in the Bank. It did, but it needed a little extra. And it didn't really give me all of that, but it had a few spots where I was like, okay, yeah, this is good. So we were supposed to have, I think it was three matches they announced during a few hours actually before they went live on Fox. We were supposed to get Cameron Grimes versus Corbin, and then Santos Escobar, Butch, and LA Knight in a triple threat match, I think, and a Money in the Bank ladder match spot on the line. It was Shotzi versus Bailey. We never got any of those matches, but we did get LA Knight in a match, and it was versus Rey Mysterio, which, whatever, I'm not going to complain. But the reason supposedly was because Butch is on his way to England. That's what Michael Cole said, but I'll just say Vince McMahon was backstage tonight. 100% true, and he made a bunch of changes. But we'll talk about that throughout. So SmackDown opens up with, it was a nice follow-up of last week's kind of implosion with the Bloodline. Jimmy and Jay basically coming down to the ring afterwards with a nice promo package opening the show. Jimmy and Jay basically hyping up that they're the best tag team there is, and basically there ever will be, and all the shenanigan BS that's happening with the Bloodline. They're in your city. It's not the Bloodlines in your city. It's the Usos are in your city. And they basically challenge Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa to a match at Money in the Bank. And we totally see this coming, but it was later confirmed in the night. A match I am super stoked. And the way they ended the show got me pumped up for that too. Another match that, it did it for me. And I'll explain why it did it for me, but we didn't really need it. It was Rey Mysterio versus LA Knight. It was supposed to be LA Knight and Santos Escobar, right? And who else was it? Butch, but Rey Mysterio and LA Knight. And you know what? This was it's not that it was wasn't a decent match. It was a good match, but LA Knight got a clean win over Rey Mysterio. It got a little choppy towards the end, but LA Knight picked up a clean win. You know what I mean? And I think this was something that LA Knight needed, but he was getting cheered way more than Rey Mysterio. And LA Knight, dude, he's a heel. He's basically being treated like a heel from the company, you know what I mean? From a standpoint, but he's getting cheered. And this crowd tonight, apparently I was reading online that this crowd is never typically a good crowd. And the crowd wasn't horrible tonight. We've seen better crowds as of late. But tonight they were chanting for LA Knight like crazy. The pop when he came out. I can only imagine what's going to happen come next Saturday at the O2 Arena in London for Money in the Bank.
If he wins that Money in the Bank contract, man, the crowd is going to go wild. The
Yeah.
roof is going to blow off the place. The crowd tonight is just so much behind him. I really hope that this showed WWE that he is the true guy. There's rumors that Logan Paul could win the Money in the Bank, but I think the
No,
obvious choice is LA Knight.
it's got to be LA Knight. The crowd's going to go
Crowd
crazy if it's
wants it.
not him. It's
The
going to
crowd
be even
wants it.
worse than Cody Rhodes losing to Roman Reigns. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I
Oh,
think that's going to piss me
absolutely.
off even more. I'll be even more butthurt about that. Women's Tag Team Championship unification match. This, I don't know what to think about this, but it is kind of interesting. All right. It's supposed to make the women's championships feel special, but who they're around the waists of, I couldn't give a rat's ass. So Ronda Rousey, Shayna
You and me
Baszler, the women's
both.
tag team champions, taking on Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, who are the NXT women's tag team champions. Now, Michael Cole did say that the winner of this match will unify the tag titles, right? So there'll be the women's tag team champion, WWE women's tag team champions, and the NXT women's tag team champions. Now, whoever wins, not just they're unified, but they have to defend the titles on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, which I don't mind.
I do
Raquel
like that.
Rodriguez was
Yeah.
ringside, huh?
I do like that. Yes.
No, no, I don't mind it. But Raquel Rodriguez was ringside. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler take a W, and they unify the women's tag team championships. As Raquel Rodriguez was leaving, they made it very clear that Raquel Rodriguez was going up the ramp while the women's tag champs were still in the ring celebrating. I think it was Ronda who called out Raquel, kind of making fun of her. And then Raquel said, we still deserve those tag titles and we deserve a rematch. And basically, Liv Morgan comes out and nice. It was a good pop. Basically, their intentions to challenge for the titles that they never lost because they had to relinquish them due to Liv's injury, her shoulder injury. So I think this is setting up a rematch for Money in the Bank. I'm not really sure. Don't quote me on that, but it certainly will take the titles, hopefully, off of Shayna and Ronda, because I don't feel that the crowd had no feeling towards them whatsoever, especially when Ronda came out. But let's move next to another tag team that is certainly, I guess, making a stand in the division. But this women's division, I couldn't care less about it at this point, just with everything that's happened. But the men's division, it 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 didn't do it for me tonight. But let's talk about it. Okay, the Grayson Waller effect, Pretty Deadly joining Waller. This was a really boring Grayson Waller effect. They just kind of kept rambling about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn about who they're facing for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship Saturday in London. You know, what did we gather from this? Basically, that Pretty Deadly are taking on KO and Sami Zayn Saturday, just like I said, and they just kept rambling on about it. And then Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins interrupt. Thank gosh, just kind of poking fun at the two, I guess you could say, icons of Pretty Deadly. They actually had an impromptu tag team match. So Pretty Deadly and Street Profits. This is an awesome match, but Pretty Deadly actually took a W over the Street Profits. It was kind of clean. It was a dirty roll-up pin. But you know what? I'll take it. Pretty Deadly taking the win just a week out of Money in the Bank. You know what I mean? But it was well deserved. But they still have a little bit of more depth they need to, I guess you could say, inherit to grow on me, because it's still not there.
Absolutely. And one thing, I need Grayson Waller in a rivalry, a fresh rivalry as a single star. I think that would bring some good heat to him on SmackDown. This Grayson Waller effect, like you said, did really nothing for me. They just kind of reiterated.
But
SmackDown
supposedly, Grayson Waller has a special guest next week for another episode of Grayson Waller Effect. Couldn't care less, but it's Logan Paul, so hopefully this is good because Logan's on the mic, so we'll see.
Hopefully they have a good back and forth for sure.
Yeah, back and forth. Let's talk about the next matchup. Charlotte Flair versus Lacey Evans.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Bayley and somebody else for that spot in the women's ladder match. I don't get why they scrapped this. You know what I mean? I really don't understand. So I don't know. It's supposed to be Shotzi versus Bayley. Whoever wins gets the Money in the Bank ladder spot on the line, whatever nonsense.
Poor
Right? So Charlotte Flair.
Not even on the card. I mean,
yeah, no, I think Vince scrapped it probably last minute. Totally makes sense. So Charlotte Flair, Lacey Evans match, couldn't care less about a figure eight, tapped out Lacey Evans. And then actually Asuka attacked Charlotte Flair after the match, kind of sending her a visual but physical statement. Could Asuka be the one holding the championship above Charlotte Flair after their matchup at Money in the Bank? Not really sure.
Yeah,
Not
it's
sure.
gonna be interesting. I'm kind of hit or miss with could we see a classic Charlotte like title reign come at Money in the Bank, or could we see Asuka retain? The smart money's on Asuka retaining, but we know Vince loves Charlotte, man, and he likes to post.
And supposedly with Bianca Belair, she was backstage saying how she was supposed to be at ringside, I guess, at their match, but then Adam Pearce said, you know what, it's not going to happen because there's too much at stake. I get it from both ends, but I think there's something fishy gonna go down. Hopefully.
Could we see this match turn into a triple threat for Money in the Bank? Maybe we'll do that next week.
Yeah. But before we even get to our main event, I want to talk about something. We didn't get to this. Actually, this is what happened after the Usos came out for our opening segment. So it was Solo Sikoa backstage with Paul Heyman, right? And I think it was, who was it? Ridge Holland who walked by Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa gave him a Samoan spike backstage. Solo wasn't in the mood. Then Sheamus came out to the ring saying, Solo, I want to match with you tonight. I'm tired of this BS. You know what I mean? I'm tired of you taking your anger out on my family, right? We had a pretty good main event. It ended in a no contest with Solo Sikoa ramming, I think it was Sheamus, through a barricade near the timekeeper's area. It was weird to see the show end in a no contest, because usually Sheamus, something like this, the wrestler would get up before the count of 10, you know what I mean? But I mean, I guess you could say it was okay for a no contest. It made Solo look strong. But what actually happened is Usos came out and attacked Solo Sikoa after this match. just a nice pop with the crowd. Could we see the Bloodline completely be dismantled as Solo and Roman Reigns take an L come Saturday? Will Paul Heyman still have a feel in the family? Not too sure what they have planned, but the Usos looked strong, taking Solo down with, I think, not one but two super kicks, maybe three, I can't remember, but looked good to end the show.
Absolutely, and this is a rivalry I could get behind. A Solo Sikoa versus Sheamus. Talk about two bruisers. I could be here for that rivalry. And like you said, the show ended off pretty good. It was kind of a so-so show. But
underwhelming. Can you say underwhelming? As MJF would say, it was mid.
That's the word I would exactly use. It had a great opening and, a pretty good ending, but the mid card was kind of exactly that, kind of mid this week. And we'll have to see what they have coming up, because next week is the go-home shows for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown before Money in the Bank. So hopefully we got some good ones. And one thing's for sure, KozMatt will keep you guys updated, and we will see you guys Tuesday for a Monday Night Raw recap. Until then, peace out. This has been KozMatt. Thanks for watching.